Today, it's a showdown between British Airways Premium Economy and Business Class. I'll be giving a comprehensive comparison of both of these products to help you decide what you should book for your next trip. I'm fortunate enough to have flown both products numerous times, so I'm going to be basing this comparison on that collective experience and not just one single flight. Let's get into it, starting with the experience on the ground. When you come to check in, the experience will vary a little from airport to airport. If you are going through Heathrow, there will be a separate check-in area for premium economy. However, in most outstations, you will have to queue up with the rest of the economy passengers. Flying in business class, there will always be a separate check-in area for you to go to skip those busy queues. In terms of the luggage that you get, in premium economy, you do get slightly enhanced luggage compared to economy, so you are able to bring two 23 kilo bags. But in business class, you get an increased luggage allowance of two 32 kilo bags. Once you've dropped off your luggage, it's time to head through security. And again, business class has an advantage here. You get to go through the fast track queue, and this isn't granted to premium economy passengers. Business class passengers can then get into the business class lounges where they've got a buffet to help themselves to. There'll be free pour spirits to make drinks, Prosecco, and if you ask for it, you'll get champagne as well. As BA is a One World airline as well, you'll also be able to access One World partner airport lounges, which I will say are often much better than the BA ones. For premium economy, no lounge access is granted, and you can't even pay to get access either. Once it's time to board the plane, both premium economy and business class do get higher boarding groups. Business class is above premium economy though. Something that I think is really important to just point out here though is that if you have status with British Airways, you get access to all of those features that I just talked about with business class. For example, if you have silver status, you get an increased luggage allowance, you get to use the business class check-in, you get fast track security, and you also get access to the business class lounge. And you do also get a higher boarding group too. So you do have silver status or above, that on the ground experience is going to be exactly the same for you regardless of whether you're in premium economy or business class. The only difference to you will be when you're up in the air. So let's talk about the seat once you get on board, starting with premium economy. I do really like the premium economy seat. It's a good bit bigger than the economy one. The cabin's usually set out in either a 232 or a 242. It's a much wider seat than you get in economy, lots more leg and knee room. Also got a very generous recline, but that can be a good or a bad thing. So when you're trying to sleep, it's obviously good that you can recline back further. However, if you're not sleeping and the person in front of you reclines, they do come very close to you. It's nearly impossible to actually watch something if someone's fully reclined, and it really closes out the space you've got. It's quite hard to get out of the seat if you're on the window, for example, to try and get out if someone's fully reclined in front of you. Another issue I've had with premium economy when I've tried to sleep, well, first off, I'm not great at sleeping if I can't lie flat, so I do always struggle with that. But I've also had a real issue with other passengers when I've tried to sleep in premium economy. I'd be really interested to hear if you've had similar experiences, if you've flown premium economy before. But I think 3 times out of the last 4 premium economy overnight flights I've had someone waking me up or having a go at me for reclining my seat. Now, I should point out, I wait quite a while before I recline this. I wait till the meal service is done, everything's cleared, the cabin lights have dimmed, it's clearly time that everyone's going to sleep, and then I'll recline back. But so often I get the person behind me complaining about it. It's often because someone's booked premium economy because they're quite tall, and then as soon as that leg space is gone, they're kicking off about it. I've had someone a bit older as well who had mobility issues, who said that as soon as I reclined, they couldn't get out. So every time they wanted to get up, which unfortunately was quite regular because they were drinking quite a lot, every single time they were nudging me, trying to wake me up so I'd move my seat. If it had just happened once, I would just wave it off, but it's happened so frequently to me in premium economy, I just think it's worth giving that warning. Other features of the seat, some versions of it, you get a bottle holder near your footrest. That's another thing as well, the footrest that folds down so you can put your feet up. There's a good amount of in-seat storage for premium as well, so the netting on the back of the seat is quite big, you can get quite a lot in there. And it obviously comes nowhere near your knees when that is full up, which is great. And there's also a little tray to the side that you can put drinks on as well, which is pretty handy. Overall, a really comfy seat, and I think if you are weighing up whether it's worth upgrading from economy, certainly if there's not a significant price difference, it's well worth paying that. It makes such a big difference to the comfort of the journey. Now, let's talk business class. Now, BA has a bit of a mix with business class. There's 2 products that are still heavily used. So a few years ago, they launched their new Club Suite. This is a much more modern business class where you have your own private suite with a closing door. It's a really nice space. There's tons of storage, really comfy seat, and just a lot more privacy than you got in the old style. However, BA have been quite slow to roll out the new club suite, so a lot of the fleet is still using the old style Club World, which has this yin-yang seat layout where you're kind of facing the person next to you. And it seems to be a really hated business class product. It is quite an old product. I mean, it was the first ever lie-flat business class seat, so it's been around a while now. But yeah, every time I see anything about it online, people seem to be really hating it. But I have a bit of an unpopular opinion on this one. I actually quite like it. Certain aspects of it that it really excels. Firstly, it's a lot more social than the new one. The new one's great for privacy, but if you're flying with someone else, it's actually not great for talking to them. If you do pick the middle seats, which are the best ones for socialising, you're still quite far away from your seatmate, so you can't really chat without properly leaning over to see them. Whereas if you're in a club suite, they're right there opposite you. So it's really great to just have a chat, have a drink, have a meal. For us, when we're flying in the old style Club World, especially on a daytime flight, it just feels like we're out for dinner somewhere. It's great. But there are a lot of drawbacks of the seat. Firstly, complete lack of storage. There's one small drawer that you can put your stuff in near your feet, so it's not the best place for it. It's also completely inaccessible when the seat is reclined in lie flat mode. It can also really lack privacy. Obviously, if you're next to someone who you don't know, it can be a bit awkward for takeoff and landing when that privacy screen has to be down because you're just awkwardly looking at some stranger. And if you're on the aisle as well, there's no privacy from the rest of the cabin. Also, the window seats, apart from the ones at the bulkhead, don't have direct aisle access. So to get out, they'll often have to step over the feet of someone who's at the aisle. Not a huge deal, but it's just something to be conscious of. You feel like you're in people's way sometimes, or you've got other people in your way when you're trying to get out. It can be particularly an issue at night when you're trying to sleep. You don't want to have to clamber over someone who's sleeping and accidentally trip on them or something. And similarly, if you're having a sleep, you don't want someone to accidentally be tripping on your legs on their way out. Despite that though, I think I actually prefer the older Club World for sleeping. I think when you are at the window and you've got the privacy screen up, and especially if you're at the bulkhead where you do have direct aisle access, it feels like a really private suite because the walls come up quite high. The wall on the club suite, even though you've got a door, is I think a bit lower than you actually have in the old Club World. And you just get a lot more foot room on the old Club World. The new club suite, your foot goes in the cubby and it's just a bit more narrow and a bit more enclosed. You just have a lot more space on the old style products. Regardless of which one you go to, and regardless of comparisons to other business class products elsewhere, if you're comparing it to BA Premium Economy, it is a significantly upgraded seat experience. Now let's talk food and drink. For both premium economy and business class, onboard service starts when you first get on board with a glass of fizz. In business class, you'll sometimes get a top up as well, but I've never known that to happen in premium economy. That might be just my experience though. In premium economy, you get your usual beer, wine, spirits, a decent menu, nothing too fancy. And I do find that if you order a spirit and a mixer, for example, they'll tend to give you 2 at a time with that. In business class, you'll get a slightly improved offering, a few more premium spirits, and they also do have a selection of cocktails. I always go for the Johnny Ginger, it's my favourite. I usually get through a couple of those per flight. For the food service, everything in premium economy is served on one tray, and it is a good bit better than what you get in economy. They do say that the main course of the main meal is a bit more like a business class quality. It's not quite at that level, but I will say it's not far off. In fact, one of the times when I was in business class, they had run out of the selection I wanted, but they said they had something quite similar in premium economy and they brought me that instead, and it was actually really nice. In business class, you'll get a starter. You'll usually also get some nice bread to go alongside that. There'll be a choice of 3 different main courses, and then for dessert you can have cheese or something sweet. If the plane's not that full, you can probably ask for both as well. And I've always really enjoyed the quality of the food on the British Airways business class flights. I can't ever really remember having a lunch or a dinner on board that I've not really enjoyed. It's not quite fine dining like you get on some other business class products. It's not going to be competing with the fancy food you might get on a Q suite, for example. It is just nice, good quality food and a good selection that kind of suits the kind of food that I like. One issue I do have that I've kind of alluded to is that they do often run out of some of the choices. Especially if you have quite a big business class cabin, if you're not sat near the front, by the time they've got to you, they have often run out of what you want. I remember my first long-haul business class flight with them as well. There was one side where they were going really fast, taking everyone's orders really rapidly. And then the other side of the plane, The guy who was taking orders was spending ages having a chat with everyone. And, it was nice that it was friendly service and everything. But by the time it got to me, even though I was only row 3, they'd run out of the options I had because the other side had already gone all the way down to the back and taken all the orders. Another time when I was flying home from India, it was a really weird one. It was a late night flight, so I just wanted a quick bite to eat before bed. So when they came and took the orders, I asked for no starter and I just asked for my main course, which was going to be this chicken pie, I think it was. Despite the fact I asked for no starter, they then randomly brought me one out. And then when they took that away, she then asked, "Oh, and did you want a main course as well?" I said, yes, I asked for the chicken pie. At which point she told me, "Oh, we don't have the pie, we've ran out of that." I did point out to her that I had ordered it before and she said that was fine. And this was the point where she then went and got a meal from Premium Economy, which was just like a chicken fillet thing. Thankfully, that meal was nice. A bit disappointed they didn't have the option I wanted because it was a really small cabin and not many people were actually eating the meal that night. But then when I went to the galley later, I actually saw one of the FAs eating what I'm pretty sure was my chicken pie. Another thing I will say is that generally the quality of food for breakfast in both Premium Economy and in business class is pretty poor. It is a bit of a mixed bag. I've occasionally had a decent meal for the breakfast, but it's very, very rare. Next up, let's talk amenities. In Premium Economy, for sleeping, you get a basic blanket and a pretty basic pillow. You then have a small amenity kit, which includes a lip balm, earplugs, a pretty basic eye mask, a toothbrush and a toothpaste. So it's got the essentials for an overnight flight, but nothing too fancy. In business class, amenities are provided by the White Company. You get a nice comfy blanket and a really good pillow. I do really like the pillow that they provide. There is also this mattress topper, which is pretty useless. It doesn't give much padding. I'm not sure why they bother including it, to be honest. You then also get this little black faux leather pouch, which includes some more goodies from the White Company. You get a moisturizer, a lip balm, this pulse point thing, which I'm not entirely sure what that's meant to be for, if I'm honest. You get a really comfy eye mask, actually, some earplugs, a pretty useless pen, a toothbrush and toothpaste, and some flight socks. Next up, I just want to talk about the service, and I will say there is a bit of a difference here. Generally speaking, the service I've had in business class has been excellent. I found the staff to be really friendly, really attentive. They're constantly asking if you want another drink or a top-up. They're just really friendly throughout as well, just asking questions, and just all around providing a really good service. There's been the odd exception, but very, very rare. The Premium Economy service I've had has been a lot more mixed. So it is the same cabin crew that are doing economy, and they've got to get through a hell of a lot of passengers on those flights. So completely appreciate it's not going to be the same level of service. But in Premium Economy, I have sometimes had service that's been absolutely terrible. And it does seem a lot more hit and mix. I find the service I get on Premium Economy is a bit more 50-50, whereas the service in business class, I'd say, is 90% excellent and 10% not so good. And I just want to quickly cover the bathroom situations. The main difference with the business class bathrooms is they do have some White Company soaps and hand lotions, but that's it. Nothing else too special in there. In Premium Economy, generally speaking, you'll share the same bathrooms as economy, so it can mean that you've got quite long waits at times. But on my most recent Premium Economy trip, they did actually keep a separate bathroom just for Premium Economy passengers. So that does happen sometimes. In terms of overall thoughts about which product you should get, obviously there's quite a few factors that come into it. Not everyone's always going to be able to afford to pay cash for business class. I certainly can't. But that said, sometimes I do find the price difference isn't that much and it is worthwhile paying for that upgrade. Premium Economy is a really sought after product these days. I think there's a lot of people that are willing to pay that little bit extra for it, but because there's such high demand, the prices sometimes get a bit out of control. And I have seen really weird pricing quirks sometimes where the business class flight is for some reason cheaper than Premium Economy. Obviously, in that situation, no brainer, go for the business class. It can also be worth paying cash for business class if you're upgrading. So sometimes we've booked the Premium Economy trip, and then later down the line, we've inquired about upgrading, and I've actually got a really good deal to upgrade that. It's worth keeping in mind as well, if you are interested in collecting tier points to earn status, you are going to earn a lot more points flying business class. So I think the generally accepted rule is that business class can be better value overnight because obviously you can get a better sleep. But for me personally, I love a daytime flight in business anyway. It's just always a fun way to start out a holiday, just having a nice comfortable seat to sit in, better quality food, and having a couple of cocktails. It just gets the holiday started off early for me. But generally speaking, I say as a bit of a rule, we would tend to do Premium Economy if we're paying cash, or if we've got points to use, we'll then do business class. If there's no business class availability of points, I wouldn't tend to use points for premium economy. I don't feel like it's necessarily always the best value for your points. So if I can't get any points availability of business class, I'll then just tend to go with a cash booking for premium economy. I hope you found that comparison useful. I'd love to hear what your experiences have been like flying business class or premium economy with British Airways. Please let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next one.